James Dorsey is joining us now. He's a senior fellow at Singapore's Rajaratnam School of International Studies and the Middle East Institute, and he joins us now from Singapore. James, good to have you on the News Hour here. I want to get to start off this interview with you by getting your analysis of where we stand 1 year later.
I think where we stand is that we had, over the weekend for the first time, a declaration of responsibility by the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, but it really was more of a symbolic declaration. With other words, there was no personal responsibility. It happened on my watch. Now, normally, if it happened on your watch, then there would be consequences to that. That obviously is not the case in Saudi Arabia. And furthermore, the Saudis have really not been given any transparency of what happened. With other words, who ordered this, what is the judicial process, the investigation, the judicial process that is taking place in Saudi Arabia, and how is responsibility being apportioned. You also saw a situation this weekend in which the Saudi Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Adel Zubair, was asked about the whereabouts of one of the Crown Prince's closest aides, Saud al-Qahtani, who was believed, or in any case, the fingers were pointed at him as being responsible for the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. And when asked about the whereabouts of Saud al-Qahtani, Adel al-Zubair said, "Ask the prosecutor." When told that the prosecutor wouldn't take the call, Adel al-Zubair's sort of flippant answer was, "Call again."
Okay. One body that actually has been trying to lead an investigation is the United Nations. The rapporteur, Agnes Callamard, has said that more effort should be made to isolate Riyadh diplomatically. Realistically, can this be done?
Realistically, most countries, well, if you divide the world up, the Western world clearly has decided that it does not want to jeopardize its relationship with Saudi Arabia. And while it may be publicly critical of the killing of Jamal Khashoggi and the way that that was handled by the Saudis in terms of the aftermath, it's not really willing to attribute consequences to that. Other countries, like Russia and China, for them it's business as normal with Saudi Arabia, and they're not willing to take Saudi Arabia on any of the issues that are outstanding with the Saudis.
Okay. I went back to November of last year where you wrote an article that was shortly after, about a month after the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. And in that piece, you wrote that the killing would sort of spark multiple battles that would sort of reshape the relationships between the United States and this country, Saudi Arabia, as well as the relationships between the U.S. President Donald Trump with the intelligence community, with Congress. Do you think that reshaping has been done, has started?
I think that's fundamentally true, and I would say the same thing again today. What we've seen in terms of that is Saudi Arabia's relationship today with the United States is with the White House. It's with President Trump. Its relations with the other major body of the U.S. government that is important to them, namely the U.S. Congress, are very troubled. Now, they're troubled not only over the issue of Jamal Khashoggi, they were troubled already before that over the issue of the Yemen war. But certainly the killing of Jamal Khashoggi and the way it was handled by the Saudis in the aftermath has substantially soured the relations with the Congress further. In terms of the relationship with the intelligence community, Trump's relationship with the intelligence community was difficult from day one. He was critical of the intelligence community and not willing to take their word over that of others, particularly others who were not American, for example, the Russian president. And it could very well be that what we're seeing now with the crisis over President Trump's conversation with the Ukrainian president is, in a sense, a fallout of that deteriorating relationship with the intelligence community.
Okay, I want to go back to something that you mentioned in your first answer, and that was the official Saudi response. As we sort of near the first anniversary of the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, we're seeing a lot of pieces come out. The PBS Frontline documentary is set to air tomorrow night. the Saudi Crown Prince, actually talked to 60 Minutes. Khashoggi's fiancée, Hatice Cengiz, she described the prince's comments as, quote, a pure political maneuver. And by saying that everything happened under his watch, that she's saying that he's sending the world a message that he is more influential than the king of Saudi Arabia and he's the real head of the country. Would you agree with her?
I think basically I wouldn't disagree with her, but what I think is the context in which the Crown Prince made his remarks is very important. So, with other words, if you look at Saudi foreign and defense policy over the last 8 years, it was very assertive, it was go alone, it was reckless, and it produced a great number of crises. The recent attack on the Saudi oil fields and the U.S. response to that has really sparked a shift in the way Saudi Arabia is approaching things. So you see an effort to much more engage with public opinion, to engage with the media. And the Saudi Crown Prince's interview this weekend with CBS and the forthcoming interview on PBS are expressions of that. You're seeing that also in terms of a greater degree of willingness to consult with friends, as is happening in on the issue of how do you respond to the oil attacks. And you're seeing it in terms of a sense of greater willingness to engage in multilateralism. Take, for example, the Saudi joining of the U.S. naval fleet or naval-led protection fleet in the Gulf.
Okay. All right. James Dorsey, thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour. I do appreciate your analysis.